Hi, this is Greg Hudson, host of All About Leesburg and Loudon, the podcast. The podcast interviews local politicians, business owners, musical acts, and everyday citizens in what makes Leesburg and Loudon a great place to visit and live. Welcome to today's episode. All About Leesburg and Loudon is sponsored by the Leesburg Diner. The Leesburg Diner at 9 South King Street in Leesburg, Virginia, offers a wide variety of cuisine, including takeout from the curbside during these challenging times. Call Maria Pearson at 703-777-1800 and she will take care of all of your needs. The Leesburg Diner in Leesburg, Virginia. Hi, this is Greg Hudson with All About Leesburg and Loudon, the podcast. This is something really new and exciting today. We are talking to the mayor of Leesburg, Kelly Burk, somebody who I have admired through the years. And today, you and I finally get to sit down and talk all about Leesburg, your career as the mayor, 34 years, I believe, as Correct. A teacher in Loudon County. And then you've also had other very prestigious positions here in the town and in the county as well. So welcome to All About Leesburg and Loudon, the podcast. You were my very first person, and I could think of nobody better to have to talk to today.
Well, thank you. That's really nice of you.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to be here. This is fun.
I'm excited too. This is great. So, we're going to dive in. I'm going to have a whole host of questions for you today.
Okay.
And we're going to start off kind of on a little bit of a serious note. Obviously, as we speak today, the coronavirus is something that has really taken hold of really not only the United States, but the world. And we're seeing the impacts here in Loudon County and in Leesburg.
Definitely.
So I wanted to get some of your thoughts today around how you feel the response is going here in Leesburg and what we're doing to really kind of help businesses and help our residences out during this time.
Well, it really is important to get the information out. And so the town manager, Mr. Dentler, has been very diligent in making sure that the council knows what are the steps that we're taking, what's going on. He runs the day-to-day activity of the town,
right.
Of the town, the town government. So then we have been sending it out in our various social medias so that people can know what are the things that we're doing. Right. We're doing a lot of telecommuting with employees. We're trying to make sure that people feel safe and comfortable. We've got a whole program of how we're taking care of cleaning the government center. We are closing some facilities, but we're keeping other ones open. And we want just to make sure that everybody knows that this is a very serious event, but
Right.
that we're on top of it and that we're taking care of it, that we're aware of it, and we are working with the county and the health department to make sure that what we're doing is the best practices possible.
Absolutely. We really appreciate everything that you're doing and the council members as well as the Loudon County leaders as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen great communication, and if you could pass that along,
I will
greatly
tell them.
appreciate it. Go ahead.
They had a press conference just about an hour ago.
They did, yes. And
so.
they've been holding almost every couple of days, keeping us informed, so
Right.
that's definitely great. You were a school teacher, and I wanted to kind of ask, because this is now really crucial. We have students here in Loudon County that are going to be off of school for the next 3 weeks, maybe even longer.
Correct.
You've had really great experience teaching. Any advice for us parents, as there is uncertainty
There's
right
a lot of uncertainty, that's for sure.
As to how we've talked about distance learning. We've heard a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Loudon County School Superintendent's looking to purchase just a boatload of Chromebooks.
Right.
I think got a $5 million budget for that.
All right.
But any advice, just as a school teacher, to us to parents that are out there that are going to have our kids basically shut in for the next 3 weeks plus?
Well, good luck. No.
Right.
The big thing is to make sure that you keep to a schedule.
Right.
That's really important for kids. To know that there's going to be a schedule of we're going to do this and then we're going to go there and we're going to, use the outdoors, use the ability to get outside, and most certainly the school system is going to put together a distance learning program here in the next couple of days that will go out to all the parents, and so you can use that to continue don't let the kids get behind in their schoolwork kind of stuff.
Right.
But most certainly that schedule part of it is very important. Kids really rely on consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see some parents pulling their hair out soon enough. But your advice is I appreciate that.
Right. And it is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I don't know what all the parents are doing in regard to daycare and how they're going to go to work. Are they going to be able to telecommute? Are they going to have to go to work and find someone to watch the situation? That's tough. And I really feel bad for parents.
Yeah, it's an incredibly changeable time and really in our history and how we adapt to it. I think it's going to really change the way that we operate in the future as well. So, home-based schooling, as well as, working from home.
Right.
This is a changeable time. We're kind of creating the playbook as we go along. And from a government standpoint as well,
yes.
You are creating your own playbook.
That's true.
Could be utilized, who knows how long down the road.
Right.
So, so I appreciate you addressing, the COVID-19, but I want to kind of totally change gears here. And let's talk a little bit about your life. Growing up, did you feel as a kid driven to public service? What kind of led you down this incredible path?
Well, I came from an Irish family. There were five kids, and you always hear the story. Don't talk politics, religion, or money at the dinner table.
Right.
Well, we were expected to, and we had better know our issues, and we were always respectful. But the discussion was always political, or always religious, or always money, and so we were kind of trained to be involved. I mean, I remember the very first thing, muscular dystrophy used to have carnivals.
Oh, yeah.
And my brother and I had a carnival in our backyard. We made all of $7.
Wow.
And we were very excited, though. We made $7 for
nice.
Muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
And we did it for years and years after that, until we were well into our late teens. But that was always part of what my family was interested in and what we were taught. My sister was Nancy Reagan's press secretary.
Oh, my goodness.
In the Republican administration. And my brother worked for the Democratic governors, Warner and Belials.
Okay.
So we all went off on separate ways, but have always kept our eye on what's politically going on and how do we, and we still to this day, we have some interesting conversations at Thanksgiving.
So it's a blended political family.
It is.
Interesting. Okay. No, the holidays must be fun, but hopefully not too tense, right?
No, there's not tense at all.
All right. Well, that's really interesting. So, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. You were a school teacher for 34 years.
Yes.
Tell me about those years, kind of what did you teach and who did you teach? And just tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, when I started out, I started as a special ed teacher.
Nice.
And it was a new program called Children with Learning Disabilities. And nobody really knew what it was.
Right.
And parents didn't want their kids to be labeled, and really fought when they would be tested and identified. And by the time I was done, parents were demanding that their kids be identified because the programs developed to help kids. And it was always small classes or joining the regular class with me coming with them. And for instance, my last 4 years, I was in a civics class. And the civics teacher and I would trade off, but he was totally on the other side of the political spectrum that I was. And we would argue.
Right.
And the kids would be like, unbelievable, the teachers are arguing.
Wow.
And we had so much fun with it. And he'd say something, and I'd be like, Mr. Miller, let me give you my side of it. But it teaches you how to, as a teacher, you have to learn to get to understand different people's roles.
Right.
And so you have to understand the parents that come in that are angry. They're angry because they're concerned and they're worried about their child.
Right.
You have to understand the child that's angry and might lash out because he doesn't understand why he can't learn. He knows he's not stupid, but he can't figure out how to do this, and it gets very frustrating. And so you have to learn how to help that situation.
Yeah.
And then you're always dealing with, the fellow teachers and things that are going on. So it was the love of my life. I mean, I used to wake up and think, I can't believe they're paying me.
That's a good feeling, right?
And I never called in sick. I was never sick. The only time I ever took any leave was maternity leave. So,
wow.
But I really loved what I did, and I hope that I made a difference for some people. Some of the kids have come back and talked to me, but I taught them in middle school, and they'll come back to me when they're in their 30s. And they're disappointed I don't remember who they are.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a lot
stuff.
of kids over the years,
That's
right?
true.
How many do you think? Do you
I
have
don't
a
know.
total?
I have no idea. But I do have a young man. Well, he's 50. He just turned 50.
Okay.
That was my first year of teaching.
Wow.
And he always kept in touch with me through the years.
Okay.
And so he lives in the area. And we get together every couple of months.
That's very nice.
It is, and I know his family and all that kind of stuff.
That's really cool. So, obviously, incredibly rewarding. You taught a lot of students that had learning, at the time was labeled as learning disabilities.
Right.
I mean, I know today, what a lot of what they say is your student or your child is in an IEP program.
Right.
How do you think? I know it's been maybe a few years since you retired. How do you think that had evolved over time from where maybe in the 70s, maybe it was labeled learning disabled,
right,
to now more of an IEP type of a program? Any differences that you saw?
Well, the IEP is the actual document that you have to put together to create that that program. But
sure.
And we used to have to write them by hand.
Yes.
And it would be pages long, and we would have to write them by hand.
Okay.
And then when we had, we moved to the computers, it was like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Right,
well, then
right.
they just became longer.
Okay. Yeah.
More involved.
Okay.
But the whole idea of special ed itself changed dramatically.
Yeah. Okay.
It used to be that you were stuffed in a small room with 2 or 3 kids. And then that moved out to expand into different environments altogether.
Yeah, very interesting.
So in the way to identify and the different strategies, you learn through the years.
Absolutely.
And so it's an ongoing process.
Well, it's nice that your students go back and they visit you. We all have, I can say some of the greatest mentors in my life are the teachers that helped me out through the years.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
It's nice to go back and contact some of them. My English teacher from high school, Mary Kay Downs. She may be watching.
There you
go. She was somebody that was instrumental in changing my life. She would say, Greg, you're the only student I ever had that could keep one eye opened and pay attention in class and then be sleeping on the other side. So anyway, I learned a lot from her, though.
That's nice.
She's somebody that I really admire. Obviously, you have led an incredibly public-driven life. Since I've known you, and what I mean by knowing you, you've seen me at town council meetings, sometimes raising a point. We've worked together on the diversity task force.
That's right.
Which was really, that's where I really became to know you and admire you greatly. But over the past 4 years or so as mayor, or even looking back at your time on town council, what work are you most proud of that you feel has improved the lives of those living here within Leesburg?
Well, there's a number of things. One of them, the sidewalks out on the street.
Right.
Believe it or not, that took 8 years to pass, widening the sidewalks. And when we did that, that was the beginning of the revitalization of downtown.
Right.
And we were fortunate enough to have individuals like Mr. O'Connor, who was willing to invest in the town and see that there was possibilities there.
Right.
I most certainly am very proud of the youth job fair.
Absolutely.
I started that when I was on the board of supervisors and then brought it with me, and that has really made some incredible changes for some individuals that made a real difference for them, and that's great.
Yes.
I've always emphasized the importance of safety in supporting our police department. We have a very professional police department. Not all localities can say that. But I'm very proud that we do and that we support them and make sure that they are trained and know what they need to do and how to do it without making it all about putting people in the cars and taking them to jail.
Right.
Kind of thing. I'm very proud of the fact that the downtown is come back to life. That was one of my big motivators to get on the town council, was try to work with how do we get the downtown up and running again.
Absolutely.
And when I first moved here, many of the buildings were boarded up.
Yeah.
And so
we have really seen the town, and I'll be very frank, when we were talking about the widening of the sidewalks, if you remember, I think you were there and you voted on that. There was a packed room a lot of us were naysayers relative to that. And I remember the passion of business owners,
yes.
some for and some against, some
right.
crying.
Right.
But it has, I will be the first to say, and I'm going to say it right now, to David Butler, who was a big proponent of this.
Right.
I apologize, Dave, because I was totally wrong.
Well, it's good of you to admit it.
Yeah, I admit it. I gave him a hard time, and some others, but I've got to say, it has worked out great. We drive down the street. My wife points and she goes, "Greg, you were totally wrong." She does it every time we have a First Friday. The place it has revitalized. The music that you hear coming, from the buildings, even during the week, mm-hmm. it's nice, and then all the different businesses that we have as well. It's just absolutely kudos to those who supported this. Because it has really revitalized this town. Right. And even through the coronavirus situation that we're in currently, I really hope that we can continue the momentum and see things continue to grow.
Absolutely.
So good job on that.
And some other accomplishments.
Yes, please.
I feel very strongly that we are stewards of the taxpayer and the taxpayer's money. And so we've worked very hard to get as much out of the tax dollars as we possibly can and provide the services that people expect. It's a difficult thing to do. It's easy to spend a lot of money and do things, but if you gotta be forthright and know that that's someone's money that they had to put forward for these services, and you need to be very wise in how you use them. And so we've been very careful about the tax rate and what services we are providing and how we provide them.
Right. I think the biggest confusion, and it may just be me, you have Loudoun County taxes and you have the town of Leesburg, and sometimes I'll admit, I thought I paid that bill, and then you don't. So any thoughts around how that might change, or is it just always going to be kind of separated?
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, we just initiated a program last year that the county will be billing you and collecting the taxes and reimbursing us. So instead of getting two bills,
that's good. You
will now have one bill that says you owe the county this much and the town this much.
Okay.
And it goes straight to the one place, and then they reimburse us back.
Okay. Well, maybe I've missed that.
Yeah.
Hopefully I paid the bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. What else? Anything else regarding accomplishments or things that you're really proud of?
Well, I'm really proud of the staff that we have at the town government. They give above and beyond. They really believe that they're serving the people, and they work very hard and very diligently. And so I'm very proud of the staff that we have working, representing the town, and all the stuff that they do. It's pretty great. And just the whole idea of Ida Lee and that community environment there, that people go there and they really love it and they want to continue to go there and they use it. It's a great facility. So there's, I could go on and on.
Well, no, I know you can. So this kind of takes me back. This wasn't one of my questions, but we had a darn tornado that tore through part of our town here about a month ago, maybe a little bit. What in the world did you think when you heard the news that a tornado had hit Leesburg?
Wild. That was wild.
Yeah.
And ironically, we just had hired our emergency manager.
Okay.
It was a new position we created, and he was there for a day, and the tornado hit.
Right.
And now the coronavirus. But I walked the neighborhoods the next day.
Okay.
I wanted to see how people were doing and what was happening, and I have to say it was pretty eye-opening.
Yes.
I thought a tornado, might have just skipped over, but no, it really ripped out some people's houses.
Yeah, it really did.
Roofs were gone, and trees were in their living room, and but the thing that really struck me was, to a person, every one of the people that I talked to thanked the town and the town street division, because we got them out there right away, and they were taking down the trees and mulching everything up and getting it out of the way and opening streets up and helping the people. And the families and the people on those streets that were affected truly, truly appreciated all the hard work they did.
It was really amazing. I was just getting set up for the day. I was working from home, and I live in that subdivision, and all of a sudden there was just a whoosh of wind that went by. Fortunately, I think it got spinning just maybe about a quarter of a mile from where I live.
Really? Wow.
Which was something. But what was amazing to me, I had to take a phone call shortly thereafter. But within about an hour and a half, I was like, I've got to get in my car and go see what in the world has occurred, because I saw it on the news. And I did. The first thing that I saw were town of Leesburg trucks, the first ones on the scene. Yeah. And that was really impressive. So kudos again to the town on that. And for any action taken by the town manager, everybody that came together to make that happen. So absolutely, that was really great. I know we could talk a lot more about your accomplishments because they're a lot. They're very long, but maybe as we wrap up, you can share a few more. So we were talking about your annual job fair. Tell us a little bit more about that program and some of the success stories that you've seen over the years that have come from that.
Well, we just had it last weekend.
Right.
Last weekend, and we had 78 businesses that were hiring. And they were businesses from technology businesses to restaurant businesses to moving companies to lawn care to there were some retail people there. So it was a whole variety of jobs. And a lot of them were professional jobs that were offering the internships. Right. And they, as they were leaving, I went and talked to all the vendors, and as they were leaving, I asked how did they think about it, and they all were very impressed with the kids. They, what an amazing group of kids that that already had skills that they didn't have when they were first starting out, and so that was really great to hear. It was great to see so many there, and it was great to see all the kids interacting and the parents standing back watching.
That's
so
great.
Proud.
Yeah, really. That's
but
fantastic.
I've had a large number of kids come back and say, that started me. That was my first job. I learned to follow a schedule. I learned to be bossed around. I didn't like it all the time, but I learned it. And a couple of them have gone on to continue in those companies where they first started.
Yeah. It's a great program. I've watched it evolve a little bit over time and promoted on the All About Leesburg site as well. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Yeah. But I'm, I think so many times I tell my kids, I said, listen, guys, it's time. It's almost game on. It's time to start finding that first summer job.
Right.
When you graduate high school, there are expectations. So the program that you've put together with others is really something that, as my kids are inching their way forward, I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that.
Well, good. I hope
probably
you do.
Next year.
Good. I hope
Let's
you
hope
do.
there's not a virus.
No, and I have to give credit to the Economic Development Department.
Okay,
they
great.
They really took it on and have made it even better every year.
That's
and
great.
so I give them a lot of kudos for their hard work.
Excellent. We have seen, obviously, a resurgence in the business here in downtown Leesburg. We talked a lot about that. You may have already answered this, but what do you think really was the catalyst for the change here in town? Because I remember maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe it's a little bit more now, where there were business owners that were like, we couldn't keep businesses in long enough. But we have seen a real culture shift. Where do you think that change really started to happen?
Well, a couple of things came together. One was the widening of the sidewalk, making it more attractive for people to see outside dining. And, there are people there. I need to go there, too. Yeah. There's, as I said before, the investment of the property owners to making their buildings attractive and up to date, and that was important. You had a change in the population. The population got a little younger and a little more interested in going out, not necessarily going to antique shops, but going someplace where they could have fun and do things.
Right.
And so that was a component to it. And then the increase in the amount of housing around the town that made it accessible for people. The First Friday events that we have, the different, all the different, like the Flower and Garden Show, and the parades and things like that. Yes. All of that together brings people down and brings people, and as long as you've got attractive places, attractive businesses like this, it makes a difference. And Absolutely. So people become interested, and they want to be downtown. They want to be able to do things downtown, and so all of it together, I think, just came at the right time.
Absolutely, and I know there's some disappointment, obviously, with the garden show being canceled, and I think all kinds of things.
Right.
So as you start to think forward, and we don't know what the future is going to hold with this, with things, how do you think we can as a community and you as the mayor, with the town council, with the business leaders, really ensure that this is not an economic killer
I know.
for our small businesses.
Right, and we're about, we've had quite a few conversations about that, and we have data of all the businesses.
Sure.
Our economic development department is reaching out to every one of them to find out what's going on, how are you doing, is there anything that we can do to help, that kind of stuff. We've been working with the Small Business Administration and the Small Business Development Center right here in town.
Right.
They've got a loan program now that the state just released that local businesses can apply to and get a loan that might hold them over till things calm down and get back to somewhat normal.
Yes.
We have asked all of the businesses to, in their social media, tell people what you're doing to make your place safe.
Right.
And when people see that, these, the restaurants are super cleaning everything and sanitizing everything, or that the dress shop across the street is really taking great care to make sure that everything is cleaned off and at the end of the day and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they need to communicate that to people. So people say, it's okay to come downtown. It's okay to go to wherever. So that's part of what we're trying to get the businesses to do. And then, just encourage people to shop local. It's really important to shop locally.
Absolutely. And we do that, and we have that, the event around the holidays, right?
Right.
It's almost, I hope when all of this settles down, that maybe we can try to, share some ideas to where, Leesburg is truly back open for business.
Right.
And we can have like a small business summer day or something, right? Or a weekend.
Yes. Something along those lines.
Yeah, because we're going to need to help out. I mean,
Right.
I'm so worried about, a lot of the businesses here in town.
So am I, yes.
And we're going to really need to kind of jumpstart things once this hopefully settles down, hopefully in a couple of months.
And it's got to. I mean, we have to believe that it's got to.
Yeah.
That it
can't be forever.
Right. Really.
So, well, those are some nice thoughts. And kind of talking about that a little bit more. I think we kind of already addressed this. We're getting to tourist season. The spring garden show is canceled. We're going to have the 4th of July is a huge event here in town. Mm-hmm. Any words of advice again for our business owners, just to kind of keep them kind of steady and calm during this time?
Well, just, take advantage of the programs that we've got going for us.
Yeah.
And making sure that you are getting the word out, that you're open for business and that you're welcoming people and that it's a safe environment.
Right.
Is really important. Not only has the Flower and Garden Show been canceled, but also Keep Leesburg Beautiful, which is another thing.
That's a huge
That
event.
is. Susan Horn and I started that years and years ago. And it gets bigger every year. And I mean, we pick up tons of litter. And so to know that it's going to be sitting
bags.
there.
And you have a pretty healthy, spirited competition among the various council members well.
That's right.
So, and is it a golden trash can or what is it?
It is. And it's between staff and council.
Okay. And who typically wins?
Well, it seems like it's every other year.
Okay. So that's not going to happen because of all of this. That's a real bummer.
It is.
So maybe what we could do, but we got to be safe, is have our kids grab a trash bag and at least clean up around our communities, right?
That's right.
And then toss it in the trash. It is amazing how after many winters, we've had bad winters. This has been a mild one. The amount of litter that just collects. So I appreciate what happens every spring.
Yeah, and it's important because before it all starts to grow up and get lost in the brush.
Absolutely.
It's important that it get picked up. But.
Well, good work on that. I think I've seen you collect a couple of big tires over the years.
That's right.
So good work on that. So we're kind of getting close to the end here. So this is kind of the fun stuff. And I'm not going to go off script too much. I told you it might get dangerous, but I'm not going to do it. So outside of your responsibilities as mayor, what are some of the things that you do just for fun and to unwind? Because I always see you at ribbon cuttings and doing all kinds of things. It seems like you're always working.
Sometimes it feels like that.
Set all of that aside. What are you up to these days when you're just trying to unwind?
Well, my husband and I walk 2 to 3 miles every day.
Good for you.
Over in Morven Park.
Okay.
That starts the day.
Okay.
and that's a real good. Such a peaceful, beautiful place
Right.
that's a great place to start. I am a grandmother. I have two grandchildren
nice.
that I love to hang out with, little redheads,
Okay.
and they're delightful and they're at a great age, and so that's a great deal of fun. And I'm a reader, so
Yes.
I read a lot to just kind of forget about what else is going on.
So, okay. So speaking of reading, then, what's kind of one of your favorite books? If there was a mayor book club, what books would you suggest?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about recent books or
Well,
I mean,
anything. Yeah, what's your favorites?
my favorite book was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay.
I must have read that 4 times.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah.
But I'm a big James Lee Burke fan.
Okay.
I have all of his books, and so I wait when I finish one. I can't wait for him to do the next one. And I lean towards for my entertainment. I lean towards fiction as opposed to
Okay.
nonfiction.
Absolutely.
And so I just. Mae Benchley is another one I really enjoy. So there's just a lot of that. I just really enjoy sitting down and reading a book, and it's
That's
not
nice.
unusual to finish a book in one sitting.
Good for you. Wow.
So then I got to go look for another one.
Absolutely. So outside of Leesburg, when you take a vacation, what is the ideal vacation spot for you and your husband?
He's a huge baseball fan.
Okay.
So like we're at the end. I hope we're going in May.
Okay.
To Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
To see the Pirates play.
Okay.
So we do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Now, if it were me, I'm at the ocean. That's where
Okay.
That's my favorite place. But he grew up in upstate New York, so he doesn't like the ocean. He doesn't know about it. He doesn't.
Right.
It scares him.
Okay. All right. Well, that's so the ocean. Where do you go? Any place in particular, or just wherever there's water?
Wherever there's water is
Okay.
always the best thing.
Very nice. Very nice. So we're kind of wrapping it up here. Any final words? Anything else you want to share as a teacher, community leader, friend? I consider you a friend.
Well, thank you. I
as
do
well as
you
the
too.
mayor.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, let me share a story with you that happened the other day.
Yeah, sure.
Every year, and I meant to bring it. I was going to show you this book. The Loudon Country Day School. They're pre-kindergarten students. So these
Right.
kids are 4 and 5 years old. They study about the mayor, and so then they asked me to come in and they do a book. And they draw a picture of me, and then they say what they would do if they were mayor. And it's very entertaining. It's hysterically funny, actually. But this one little girl was sitting there, and she didn't. All the other kids were talking, and she was very thoughtful. I could tell she was thinking about something. So I asked her what was on her mind, and she said, "Have you ever been shy?"
Oh.
And I said, "Yes." I said, "I'm very shy."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "My natural inclination is to step and be in the back of the room.
Right.
And it's not natural for me to be in front of the cameras or the microphones, or I have to really work at it."
Sure.
And
sure.
she paused for a minute and she said, "So does that mean that I could be mayor?"
Oh,
And I was like,
that's so sweet.
"Absolutely."
Makes me want to cry. That's so cute. That's so
But
nice.
it was, and so you could see that she saw somebody and
Yeah.
was thinking, "Can I be like that? Can I do that?" But
Right.
I'm shy and quiet, so I can't.
Oh.
So to see that impact of changing that young child's mind to,
Right.
I can do it, is very exciting.
Absolutely.
And I hope maybe she will be the mayor someday.
Well, I hope so too. That's really sweet. Man, that's kind of gave me a chill bump. Madam Mayor, I mean, you have been an inspiration to so many, I think, within our community.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I'm just going to share a couple of words real quick as we kind of wrap it up. Where I really got to know you and your leadership again was when we were doing the diversity task force, and there was some concern, quite frankly, by some within our community that we weren't doing enough for the diversity, and that was many years ago now. Before there was a great awareness, I think, around diversity in the workforce. In my own company, there's a great awareness of it now, where there
Right.
wasn't even just a couple of years ago. So I applaud you and others for that effort in recognizing there was a need
Right.
back in those times. And I found it, for me personally, I found it incredibly eye-opening. I was able to work with such a diverse group of people.
Right.
And I didn't really realize from that experience the things that I had learned. But you were there, and you were involved, and you rolled up your sleeves. There was some great debate in a couple of those conversations. Some of us didn't see things the way others did. But for me, it was an amazing experience, which I think, I was just part of that initial task force, and then things have evolved now over time. But I appreciate you directly being involved in that dialogue and being at those meetings, and at times being the moderator as well, just to keep us focused and on point to where we would then deliver a report.
Right.
And while some of us didn't agree with everything, we were able to come to a consensus and put actions together, which were able to implement the Diversity Commission as well. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for serving on it. I appreciate that.
It was a lot of fun, and it was an honor to do so. I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to sit down with me. We've never really sat down one-on-one, and I've learned a lot about you today.
We'll need to change the roles.
Yeah, we will. Maybe
and
we can
I'll
do
ask
that.
the questions.
Gosh, help us all. There's a lot to share. Do we have 5 hours? No, but you were just wonderful. Thanks so much. I wish you all the best as you continue to serve our town and whatever the future holds. Actually, real quick, anything in the future in the works for you?
Well, I have a re-election campaign.
All right. Are you gearing up for it?
I am. I was going to do a kickoff, and of course I canceled it.
Dagnabbit, right?
So I'll postpone it to May or something.
So you are going to run again?
I am running again.
All
yes.
right. Well, best of luck with that. And if you seek higher office as well, we'll be there to maybe have a follow-up conversation as well. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being the very first person that I interviewed for the All About Leesburg and Loudon podcast. Who would have ever have imagined?
I know.
But thank you. Much appreciated. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thanks. Okay. So just our residents may want to get in touch with you. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, my email address is kburk, Burk without an E, at leesburgva.gov. But I also have a Facebook, which is Kelly Burk Mayor, Leesburg Mayor. And a lot of people converse with me on that page. So either of those are great ways. And you could always call 703-431-1665.
Absolutely. And you also have, when I look at your Facebook page, there's a couple of times a month where you set up a temporary office in one of our local businesses too, right?
I do. And I try to do that twice a month.
Great. Well, I hope a lot of people take advantage of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All About Leesburg and Loudon's mission is to bring our community together through meaningful content, promoting the small business owner, community and civic leaders, musicians, comedians, sports figures, and everything that makes Leesburg and Loudon great.